All right, in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on May the 24th, 2019, the notice of this meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, the Atlantic City Press, the Press of Ocean City, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is being video recorded up until the closed session portion of this meeting and will be available on UTTV Channel 97 on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct that this announcement be made a part of the minutes of this meeting. I would ask all to rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's quite a crowd here. Would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins is absent.
Yeah, Mr. Coggins is delayed at work. He should be here shortly.
Okay. Mr. Portson?
Present.
Mr. Young?
Here.
And Mayor Colombo.
Here. All right. Would someone like to approve the minutes from May 13th, 2019, regular and closed session minutes?
Motion approved.
Is there any corrections, deletions, omissions that anyone's aware of? Hearing none. Would you call the roll?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Portson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried, 4 in favor.
All right, so we're going to move the agenda around a little bit. Let's not do the report of governing body members until we get through our presentations. So, first presentation tonight. I'm real happy to say this is a presentation congratulating Evan Holmes on the winning essay in the Lewis Bay II Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. So this is something that the seniors at Ocean City High have done for many years. Those that are local students from Upper Township, and part of it is a scholarship if you have the winning essay. And we have been very fortunate over the years. Barbara and I have kind of judged the essays that come in, and we usually pick the one that we feel is the most appropriate. And I'm happy to report this year that Evan's essay won. He was one of 3 in the state, which I think is pretty incredible. So I'm going to read the resolution, and then I'm going to ask Evan to come up. I'm going to ask him if he wouldn't mind to read his essay, and then I'm going to give him the good news and present him with his check for the scholarship that he gets, which is $1,000. So it's quite, we're really honored that Evan has won and happy that he won. So the resolution reads, whereas each year the New Jersey State League of Municipalities offers the Lewis Bay II Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition to all high school juniors and seniors residing in New Jersey planning to continue their education after high school. The statewide scholarship program centers on the theme, what my municipal government does best. And whereas one semifinalist is chosen from each municipality, and this entry is reviewed by the New Jersey League of Municipalities Scholarship Committee, who select 15 finalists and 3 winners. Evan Michael Holmes' impressive essay was chosen as the township's semifinalist entry, and the New Jersey League of Municipalities Scholarship Committee selected Evan's winning essay to be awarded one of the $3,000 scholarships. Whereas it is appropriate that on behalf of the citizens of Upper Township, we recognize and congratulate Evan on his exceptional achievement and scholarship award. Now be it resolved by the Township Committee on behalf of the citizens of the Township of Upper to extend to Evan Michael Holmes congratulations on his winning essay in the 2019 Lewis Bay II Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition, and best wishes on his continuing education. And we hope someday Evan sits up here and maybe take my place. That would be great. So come on up, Evan.
Evan, all the way around. Oh, no, they're coming in.
So you get all kinds of goodies. Here's your resolution, which is the permanent record of the township. Here is the recognition from the New Jersey League of Municipalities. And here's the most important part, the $1,000 scholarship. So if you would, please read your essay for everyone to hear.
And everybody hearing me back. The other night I was discussing the how-to of being present with a friend of mine. We discussed how easy it is to be distracted, even as teenagers. We thought about how different it was as a child when we lived life in the moment, without schedules to handle, and futures to think so seriously about. It was a conversation that led to being more intentional of our time and how important it is this day to stay present so that we don't end up passing through the moment on the way to somewhere else, and in doing so, missing the moment. When I think of growing up in my hometown of Upper Township, I'm grateful for so many things. Living in a town that is a bridge away from the ocean, filled with people that work together to make our community special, neighborhoods that are safe, and schools that provide an excellent education, have created a sense of security and confidence as I enter adulthood. I've spent many days playing sports on the fields of Upper Township, the beaches in Strathmere, the various parks for play, and volunteering as a firefighter in Memorial. I've participated in and led scouting excursions for Troop 79 and held leadership positions in our schools. All the while, I have noticed the presence of people everywhere I went. Amidst the parents, grandparents, and friends in the crowds, there have been members of our small town, from neighbors to teachers, youth group leaders to coaches. But throughout my youth experiences, I have also noticed another group of individuals making an effort to encourage, celebrate, and sometimes mourn alongside the people of Upper Township. These individuals are members of our township committee. These men do not have children and grown children participating, but they are present. The impact of their presence is simple. It is noticed. When I joined the volunteer fire department as a junior firefighter, there was former committeeman Jay Newman. As I played baseball and football at our local fields on weekends, there was committeeman Herbie Young. As I surfed Sumner Avenue in Strathmere, there was Mayor Palumbo checking in with our lifeguards. Boy Scout events, the Veterans Day ceremony, community cleanups, visits to our schools, the annual Christmas tree lighting, even after special events that led to custard hut celebrations, our municipal government officials are present. Our municipal government has proven that in order to know how to keep our small town safe, clean, and desirable, they need to be part of the big and little moments. Being present in the lives of our community makes everyone feel important. This extraordinary example of presence has strengthened my own leadership skills. As an ambassador at Ocean City High School, president of my class, Troop 79 Eagle Scout candidate, and committed servant to the Marmora Volunteer Fire Department, I've noticed the remarkable ways our municipal government believes in and supports our community. The people that lead well through being present in their service to us. This kind of local government has given me the desire to extend my own capabilities in service as I seek to join the U.S. Air National Guard, go to a local New Jersey college, and return to my hometown to give back. So what does my municipal government do well? They are present in the lives of the people they serve. Thank you.
All right, now you go home and do your homework. So. You can use that scholarship for that future education. Great job, thank you. And we hope that this will encourage other students to also submit essays, and hopefully we'll continue to get some winners. You know, it's quite impressive, again, and I can't stress enough that it's all the municipalities in New Jersey, so our small community is very fortunate to have someone picked, and that just goes to show you how good his essay was. So. Now we have the reason why there's a lot of people here, presentations for the Green Hornet wrestling teams. So let's make sure I get the right group here.
We got a group down there, just gave John.
Which one do you have?
Which one's your
now?
group?
Okay. So we have two groups that have placed their championship places, one in New Jersey State Championship place winners, one in the South Jersey Youth Wrestling League champions. So if I somehow not get your last name the right way, I'll try my best, and I'll try my best to get it right. So as I call your name up, please come up and the other committeemen will give you your resolutions. So whereas the Upper Township Green Hornets wrestling team had an outstanding 2018-19 wrestling season, they recently achieved the South Jersey Youth Wrestling League champions and finished with an 8-win, 1-loss record. It is appropriate that on behalf of the citizens of Upper Township, we recognize and congratulate these athletes as follows. Luke McHale, Aiden McHale, Jackson, I hope I said this right, Panich? Okay. Gavin Martin, Mason Sampson, Josh Roman, Bobby Dranowski, Pat Tull, Andrew Seitman, Aiden Leipold, Talon Fisher, Luca Testori, Jackson Smith, Logan Fernhead, Dominic Schwartz, Mason Afador, thanks guys, keep helping me here. Mike Young, Logan Hayes, Nick Layton, Josh Degan, James Panish, we have to say it again, help me. Pickenish, thank you. Clarence Smith, John Arsenal, Dylan Singleton, and Jonah Nugent. Whereas we also extend this recognition and thanks to our coaches listed below who have generously given their personal time and service to coach these athletes. Frank Sanino, Jerry Stahl, Steve Leipold, John Temple, Don Argor, Dave Schultz, Anthony Fernhead, Tyler Sampson, Jason Lira, Bill Lick, Anthony Garitha, Anthony Broker, Mike Creamet, Mike Cunningham, Claudio Paulus, Joe Cunningham, Cameron Andes. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee on behalf of the citizens of the Township of Upper to extend to Upper Township Green Hornets wrestling team congratulations on becoming the 2018-19 youth champions.
Hey, you still with that? Yeah. I just don't talk to you.
Yeah, you better. I know, it's impressive. You get my grandson's come a long way. He's a big fan. Huh? Oh my God, he was a winning. You're knocking my papers over. I really hope somebody knows how to do panoramic shots with their iPhones because it's a big shot.
Stand up in the camera. Jared, as you can get everybody to kind of try in the middle and face like each other a little bit towards the middle, that'll shorten the line up. Hey Jared, you're gonna need the other one. No, I'm kidding.
One more picture, guys. Guys, everybody up in front.
And then I'll let you guys all go so that we can recognize these individuals. So we're congratulating the Upper Township Green Hornets wrestlers on becoming the USA Wrestling New Jersey State Championship place winners. Whereas the Upper Township Green Hornet wrestlers had an outstanding 2018-19 wrestling season, they recently achieved USA Wrestling of New Jersey State Championship place winners in their respective weight class. it is appropriate that on behalf of the citizens of Upper Township that we recognize and congratulate these wrestlers listed as follows. Kira Cunningham, who placed 5th in the girls' 9U 50-pound weight class. Cruz, look at this one. Hold on. Cruz Paulus placed 4th in the top 45-pound weight class. Luke McHale placed 5th in the top 49-pound weight class. Trent Lira placed 7th in the top 57-pound weight class. Bobby Dranowski placed 2nd in the Bantam 70-pound weight class. Dominic Schultz placed 5th in the mid 100 weight pound class. Logan Hayes placed 7th in the mid 110 weight pound class. Hannah Lick placed 1st in the girls 900. Jonah Nugent placed 2nd in the junior height weight class. And Aiden Leopold placed 8th in the intermediate 80-pound weight class. We also extend recognition and thanks to our coaches, Frank Sanino, Steve Leopold, John Temple, Dave Schwartz, Jason Lira, Anthony Garaffi, Claudio Paulus, and Joe Cunningham. So congratulations to all these guys.
Just want to say congratulations to Mr. Lightfoot for getting sworn into the Honor Society.
You need to write an essay when you get to be a senior, like he did. Well, I want to thank you all for coming. The recreation department and the programs that the township offers is really important to the township committee, and we really enjoy recognizing our youth because they are our ambassadors, not just in Upper Township, but all over the state and wherever they compete. So, they're our goodwill ambassadors, and they talk about Upper Township, and we're really pleased that we can, honor them occasionally with some recognition for all the good things that they do, and for all the youth that are in all of our sports programs. So, have a great night, everyone. I know everyone's got to get home, homework, whatever. Ice cream.
Congratulations.
That's all right, you're sharp.
See you, Bill.
All right, so we don't have an echo yet. There's still a decent amount of it. A little bit quieter in here, though. So, let's go on with the reports. Scott, do you have anything for us today?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and committee. Just one thing tonight. This is a reminder from the Cape May County MUA regarding our single-stream recycling. Apparently, and it's not just a reminder to Upper Township proper and Upper Township residents, but it's to the entire Cape May County. They want to remind everybody that it's very important what you're recycling and what you're disposing of through that recycling process. And in order to re-emphasize with all of our residents, we've added a few more links up to our Upper Township website. So that you have a resource where to go to uppertownship.com, and there's 2 separate links under latest news or news, and then also in our Public Works link on that same web page. It'll take you right to the county's definition of what single-stream recycling is and all the different things that you can recycle, and more importantly, those things that you're not supposed to be including in the recycling process. The county MUA is becoming, they're inspecting more often, and they will potentially fine municipalities that are not properly disposing of the recycling tonnage. I think this is all part and parcel of some of them on a national level, some of the different countries that are no longer accepting, or they're restricting the acceptance of the recycling process that obviously trickles down all the way to our local residents. So we want to do our best. We will be inspecting these type of things through our Public Works Department, but again, more importantly, we want to educate those through our website to the proper way to dispose and what you can and cannot dispose of. That's all I have for you this evening.
Okay. Barbara?
I just have a couple of reminders. Just wanted to, actually a reminder from our animal control to just be sure that your pets, that your dog's rabies shots are current, and if you have not already done so, to license your dogs. And the next thing I wanted to remind everyone that we have a primary election coming up on June 4th. Polls open at 6 a.m. They're open 6 to 8. If you have questions about your polling location, you can contact the clerk's office for that. We can assist with that. That's all I have this evening.
Great. Daniel?
Nothing at this time, but we do have a number of items for closed session.
Okay. Paul?
Thank you. I just wanted to report today, I met with the NJDEP Enforcement Bureau. They came out and did a compliance inspection for our stormwater collection system. I just would want to report that the efforts at our Public Works Department pays off, and they had no issues with our overall maintenance and of our collection system, as well as the documentation and the reporting that we provide to the state for our permits. So just want to report that.
You don't want to report the U.S. Fish and Wildlife that you and I met with this afternoon? No, Paul and I met in Strathmere with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. We were going over, a designated path for the emergency vehicle to be there. And then also, we had discussion on whether or not we can rake up some of the reeds and the wood and things that have washed up from debris over the winter. And from their perspective, they're fine with that. I know Paul's going to reach out to the DEP, but I'd like to see us try and do something so that we don't have any, right now there's potential for, foot injuries and things like that, because there's a lot of limbs and sticks and all kinds of things that are out on the beach that probably need to be raked up. So as long as we're not on the dunes, that's the impression I got, as long as we're not on the dunes or in the area where that sea amaranth is that what it's called?
Yes.
That we'll be fine to take care of that, so.
And I'll follow up with the DEP tomorrow to see what restrictions they may have.
I get a biology lesson every time I go with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Thank you, that's all I had to see.
Okay, Barbara.
I have nothing this evening.
All right, Committeeman Coggins, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry for my tardiness. Nothing to report specifically, but I did want to make an observation. On the end of the Strathmere end of Corson's Inlet State Park, I'm sure a number of you are aware of the mess that was left by our visitors to the park over the weekend. And I really would like to propose, and I know the state had said something about taking trash cans out of there.
We already put the trash cans back.
Did you? Okay.
Today.
Because I was going to say throw
It's
it.
all cleaned up, and we're just going to take care of it. We're not going to wait for the state. There's 3 containers of trash and 3 recyclables there, right?
You might even want to put a couple of 3 yards down there, take the lid frames off of them and just leave them open with the type of debris that was being put there. Because, like for example, chairs and things like that are never going to get into the 96-gallon toters.
And there are probably things that really shouldn't be placed in recyclable anyway for this.
Right.
Because this.
Exactly.
I will add to that I did have a discussion today with the state park, with one of the state park representatives, very accommodating. They actually assisted us by going over to pick up that trash. They do have a carry-in, carry-out. That's basically the regulation. And so they will work with us closer to make sure that that's enforced to the best of their ability, because I know they're short-staffed.
It's carried out and dropped is what they do.
Well,
Carry out and drop, unfortunately.
that's like Al Gore's fantasy playhouse. I mean,
It was a total, it was a disgrace. It's hard to believe that people would leave that type of trash on the end of the street end to begin with. But, I saw on the news report before I came here this evening that fortunately we're not in Virginia Beach thing where they had 10 tons of trash. It's amazing to me that people, can't clean up after themselves, but.
But the same people that leave the trash on the beach are the ones that are dancing around and outlawing plastic straws and all that because we're killing whales.
the other thing is too, I mean, in a situation like that, and it's been done in other municipalities within the county, the landfill does allow you to carry in mixed trash and recyclables if you ask for an exemption for public containers on your O&D form. But so if you do end up with over 5% of your load contaminated with mixed material, you can.
All right, anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Committeeman Young.
Just a few of our normal, I want to remind everybody of our 4th of July celebration. It'll be held on the 4th. Festivities start at 5 o'clock. We'll have some things for the kids to do, as well as live music, food vendors, and some other vendors there. Fireworks will begin around 9:30, and that's all fireworks, and the band and everything is free to anybody that comes in. So usually we have about 4,000 or 5,000 people show up for the fireworks. So just you mark your calendar for that. And also, again, our Pumpkin Classic Antique Car Show, Street Rod Show, and our Fall Fest is scheduled for September the 28th. That'll begin at 10 o'clock. If we had the success we've had the last couple of years, we've averaged well over 800 cars and monster trucks, and you name it, we've had it out there, as well as, I guess, 150 to 200 vendors, right, Barb? 2 bands playing. Again, we're looking for volunteers for both things. So if any of the civic groups or any of the parents would like to jump in, feel free to give Barb a call at the clerk's office and throw your name in the hat for us so we can call you in to help park or just to get around. And we run golf carts for senior citizens and handicapped people. So we're always looking for people to operate those too. And other than that, again, I just want to congratulate our sports programs. I think we have to have a lot of pride in the products that we're putting out. When you look at kids that have winning essays, a young man in 7th grade honor society tonight, that's why he had his bow tie on. And his dad made sure he told me, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. I think that is a big deal for our kids when you have them that are outstanding athletes as well as students and leaders in their community. So your tax dollars for sports are going a long way.
That's it. Right. Deputy Mayor Barr.
Well, I was prepared to talk trash, but John covered that, so nothing to report, sir.
Good to hear. Committeeman Corson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing at this time. I think I have a couple things that mirror Dan's for closed session.
I have a few things. One, we received a request, I guess through our green team, but more importantly through Village Pharmacy, John Britton. They would like to establish what's called a drop box, community drop box in Upper Township for medications that are unused so that they're not stockpiled, in your medicine cabinet where they could be diverted for whatever reason. And in this day and age with a lot of the opiate crisis and everything that's going on, it sounds like a good idea, because right now the closest one to us is Woodbine, the State Trooper Barracks. So part of there's a cost that's involved with it, and what he's looking for is for, I guess, potentially 3 sponsors. For the drop box is $2,400. And apparently, Ralph, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Rotary would be willing to do a third of it. Is that correct?
It's under review.
Okay. He's asking us to be involved potentially with a third, which I think is money well spent. I'm not sure who. Oh, I'm sorry. Cape Assist, I think, is the other one that's willing to be involved as well.
It's pretty much a no-brainer. If we can take, anytime we can take drugs off the street and
So-
legally dispose of them, that's another
So what I'm looking for is a motion to approve the $800 for our third buy-in, and
I will make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
and again, this is something that has gone a long way, not just even in our municipality and in the county, but throughout the country. There's been a reduction in opiate abuse because of these take-back days that the DEA has done, and it's gone to the local law enforcement agencies. Since we have the state troopers here, it makes it a little bit more difficult, and having the opportunity of having a depot, I think, in Upper Township makes a lot of sense. So I'm glad to hear that we're potentially going to support this. So we have a first and a second. Would you call the roll?
Where are we going to locate it?
It will be in Village Pharmacy. It has to be in a license. If
Okay.
it's not in law enforcement, it will have to be where they have a New Jersey permit to have the medications there. So.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So I just want to recognize the Historical Society. The Strawberry Festival was great Saturday. The weather couldn't have been any better. Huge crowd. I've been having all kinds of strawberry things. I got 4 of those, containers full of strawberries, and they're really good. I also want to thank my colleagues and the VFW and American Legion. We did a lot of the cemeteries yesterday and made the tours around. Had an opportunity to see a nice presentation at Osprey Point. So there was a lot going on this weekend. The weather really cooperated. Beaches were packed. The Strawberry Festival was packed. The Memorial Day observations along the way had a significant amount of people there, so everybody took advantage of the weather. I already talked about the state park thing, so I guess that's about all I have this evening. So let's move on with the resolutions.
Item number 4, in support of 2019 Miss New Jersey contestant Amy Phillips.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes, and Amy is another Upper Township resident she's Miss Cape May County and will compete in the Miss New Jersey contest this year, so Upper Township's showing their wares. We're doing great. Go ahead.
Item number 5, appointing Lauren Reddy as municipal court administrator.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes,
Motion is carried. 6, appointing Michael Linz as an emergency medical technician to the Upper Township Division of Emergency Medical Services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
yes,
Carried. 7, appointing John Michael Mitchell as a full-time employee to the Upper Township Public Works Department.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
yes,
Motion is carried. 8, appointing Edmund Wood as a boat ramp attendant for the 2019 season.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 9, appointing additional 2019 season beach patrol personnel.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 10, authorizing the Township of Upper to enter into a contract with Cape Physicians Associates to provide pre-employment physical examinations.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 11, supporting the installation of flashing road safety lights and highway safety signs along Route 50 at milepost 6.69 and authorizing a cost-sharing commitment for the project pursuant to NJDOT Policy 346.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 12, authorizing the Township of Upper to apply for the fiscal year 2019 Emergency Management Performance Grant through the State of New Jersey Division of State Police, Office of Emergency Management Agency Assistance Program.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 13, declaration of emergency pursuant to Township Ordinance, Section 7-3.2, in order to provide temporary no parking restrictions during the Upper Township 4th of July celebration event on July 4th, 2019, with a rain date of July 5th, 2019.
Move the resolution. Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 14, authorizing the engineer to prepare specifications and solicit bids for landscape services.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 15, authorizing the Township of Upper to participate in a regional submission for a Resilient New Jersey grant application.
Move the resolution.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 16, under ordinances. Public hearing and final adoption of ordinance number 8, 2019, an ordinance amending revised general ordinance, Chapter 19 subdivision and site plan, and Chapter 20 zoning of the Code of Upper Township.
Before the committee proceeds with this, I have a few comments and a recommendation. Obviously, this is the public hearing on this ordinance. Just to give you a little background, this ordinance has a number of things that have been, the planning board had been working on and recommended, one of which was changes to the Strathmere-Whale Beach section of town and their land use ordinances. That process took some time. Paul could fill you in on the details, but it was really an exercise in an attempt to have self-governance by those residents of their area. A committee of residents from Strathmere and Whale Beach was assembled. They included civic leaders. They included the only real estate brokerage office in town, one of the agents, the son of the owner, and it included other landowners and interested parties. They made recommendations to the planning board and to the township committee. The planning board, and I believe the township committee up until today, thought that that was a consensus of the town of Strathmere, what they wanted in their land use. Obviously, that's not. We've received at least approximately 40 letters of objection, primarily addressed to the large lot restrictions. Given that situation, I would recommend that you can have a public hearing, but I would recommend that this not be adopted in its present form. The other items in the ordinance do not appear to have any controversial content, but obviously if we take out a huge section of the ordinance, that's going to be a substantial change and we can't proceed without renoticing. So my recommendation is that the Strathmere section be referred back to the planning board, that they reconstitute or activate their subcommittee again, perhaps maybe even get some of these folks that are objecting and interested in large lots on their subcommittee, and have our planner address it and do it with the understanding that the result is either going to be recommended by our professionals or resolved at the planning board level where it should have been in the first place. I don't fault the planning board. They frankly worked hard, and so did that subcommittee work hard. But the significance of the objections wasn't really made clear to the township until recently. And frankly, there are some technical errors once those objections were looked at, and some consistencies that need to be addressed in that ordinance. So that's my recommendation.
So there are folks that are here, I'm sure, that want to at least give us their opinion for a public hearing. So I guess my question is it sounds like we're leaning towards either tabling it or...
Well, it's got to be re-advertised. I would suggest that you withdraw it if you intend to do that and take my recommendation, and then it be reintroduced either with a revised Strathmere, if it can be done quickly, section, which I doubt given the position of the parties at this point. And frankly, we don't have our planner here tonight because she had a conflict, and I think she needs to be heavily involved in that resolution of those issues. So I suspect that what we'll be doing is bringing back everything but the Strathmere section for a reintroduction, so that the things that are not controversial can get addressed. And then when we have the Strathmere section resolved, then that will be brought back as well.
So we're going to table the entire,
Or withdraw.
I just withdraw that part.
But you don't make
but
a
I'd
decision
like to-
now. I think you have a lot of people
We
here
have,
that
we
want
have
to talk
folks
to you.
here that have probably traveled a
I
distance to
agree.
get here. So I guess my question is if I open it up for public hearing, is the testimony for future
No,
ordinance, or
it's
that
going to be
would just be
completely
they're
reintroduced.
voicing their
Whatever
opinion for
ordinance
us
comes-
to hear?
Whatever ordinance comes out after tonight, if you decide not to adopt this,
There'll be another
which is my
public hearing.
recommendation, if you decide not to adopt it, it will be reintroduced and then re-advertised and a new public hearing. Whether it's the full ordinance with all the changes, including Strathmere, or whether it's just the first one would be the ones that are non-controversial, and the second one will be Strathmere. Depends upon when the planning board and the subcommittee can get their work done.
Well, I mean, I think we should follow Dan's advice, and I would like to entertain a motion that we withdraw this ordinance and follow his advice and send it back to the planning board and subcommittee for review.
and I would second it.
I'm fine with that, but I still would like, we could take the vote, but I still think in fairness to the individuals that came out this evening, we'll open it up to hear what they have to say as well, if that's okay with everyone here.
Doesn't matter to me. They should really come to the planning
Well,
board.
there's been a motion and a second. Unless it's withdrawn, you got to vote.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Conlon?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Palumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried to withdraw ordinance number 8, 2019.
So whether we open it up for the public portion or we do it now, you know.
I would suggest you open it up now.
That's what I would like to do, so.
I just, I mean, I'm not opposed to opening it to the public, I think we understand what the public is. I don't think we need to hear 40 people say the same thing, though.
I will say that, you know, the process on this particular ordinance really worked well. You have a 30-day period to give us public comment besides the public hearing portion of it. And this by far was the most public comments we've ever received on any ordinance, and I've been here
Yes.
22 years, and this is the most I've ever seen. And that really makes, to me, a clear misunderstanding as to what is perceived as being the norm in Strathmere. So we need to really work with the individuals that, you know, have contributed in the subcommittee, but also with those that, you know, are in opposition, because, you know, there's some really valid points in these emails. And some of them, you know, there's individuals that, you know, have a home that's been in Strathmere for 100 years. And although it hasn't changed, they're affected by the restriction on the lot size. So we'll open it up and we'll listen to what some of the folks have to say. But I think in fairness to time, because we will go through this process again with public hearing as we move forward with it, just try and keep your comments that, aren't repetitive in some way. And I would ask that we show courtesy to everyone, whether you're on one side or the other. We don't need clapping or cheering or whatever. I think everybody has important information for the township to hear, and everything you give to us will certainly be taken under consideration. So,
Should we open this up? Everybody should be reminded that when this goes back to the planning board for review, there'll be an open public meeting for that also. And it's pretty important that you get there also. And what's your concerns and how you would like to see it go, because we're going to draft it in the planning board, the rough form of this, and then it comes back to township committee again. So we don't double up on everything again. If you're really concerned about it, it'd behoove you to show up to the planning board meeting and speak your mind there also.
right, so what I would ask is you come up to the podium, because we are taping this. Please state your name, your address, and your response that you'd like to give forth to the committee. And so it'll be a permanent record, and we'll be able to look at the transcripts from today's meeting going forward. So who would like to go first? And I remind everybody, we're going to have a public comment portion too after we're through the rest of the agenda. This is specific to the ordinance.
First, I want to
Your name?
Nancy Fulham, 14 East Seaview Avenue, Strathmere, New Jersey. First, I want to thank you, Mayor, and members of the committee for the motion to withdraw and for respecting the expressions of concern that were voiced by our community. I think I really rose just to make 2 points and not to reiterate what you've had communicated to you in writing. But number one, it was Eileen Barrett and I who spent about, $450 mailing this ordinance just to the large lot owners and then handing them out to people that we ran across who were interested and alerting them to what had happened at the planning board, which is why you heard from so many people. It was not word that came out through any of the social or other groups in Strathmere. And we reacted because there was shock that something of this townwide import would be done in the wintertime by a self-appointed group of a few people without a meeting, without discussion, without broader dissemination in the community, without any effort to assess consensus. This won't be the only issue that ever comes before the Township Committee that affects Strathmere. And from my standpoint, having been someone who went through a period of acrimony between Upper Township and Strathmere, I don't want to see that again. And so we have to have a better system for communicating in Strathmere and with Upper Township when matters of this significance are going to happen to a seasonal community. Because we're like a lot of other shore towns, 10% of the people may be there year-round. I was there through December and met two of the people on the committee many times without a word being mentioned that this was in process. But 90% of the people showed up for the first time to open their houses this past weekend. People's kids are in school, they work. To get here for a 2-hour drive or longer is very difficult, and I think some of them expressed that thought. So I'm just hoping going forward, Mayor, I think your comments about a broader and more inclusive committee is really important to avoiding these kinds of errors in the future. I'm not saying anyone had ill will, I'm not a mind reader, but I do think we have to approach things in a broader, more inclusive and public way in order to avoid misunderstandings as occurred here. So thank you for your recognition of that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
Excuse my limp, but I've got a bad back. Excuse me. My name is Greg Tagani, 400 North Commonwealth Avenue in Strathmere. This was a shock. This was, I think, the lady who was here earlier said she was shocked. I said, yeah, that's it. Yeah, shock. that you can do that in America, what was proposed. At any rate, I gave this to my lawyer first thing, and he was also shocked and said, lawyerly terms, he said it was arbitrary and capricious. I guess I can't improve on that. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? Now's the opportunity. Yes?
I'm Eileen Barrett at 6 East Seacliff Avenue in Strathmere, and all I ask is that you not just refer this back to the planning board and let it, be handled the way it was. I think that it was really not an acceptable process, and I don't think that we want to just say that we'll turn it down tonight and hand it back to the planning board, because it really was not done in an upfront way, and I don't want it to go back and have the same thing happen again.
Well, first of all, and Dan, please correct me if I'm saying something wrong, it needs to go through the planning board first. And I don't think, I think what happened is that the impression was that there was a general feeling that this subcommittee represented the pulse of what was going on in Strathmere. And for that I apologize, because there were, like I said, I know when I start seeing emails from a lot of people that there's something wrong. And as soon as I started getting even the first email, like 29 days ago, I called Dan and I said, we need to really look at this. And we went forward, and as time went on, there was, like I said, a multitude of responses. I don't think anyone tried to do anything backhandedly or behind the scenes. I think it was the time where there was an opportunity to work on it. Our planner was available, and we had tried to get our planner here this evening, but because of a conflict where she was, I believe, in Galloway this evening, because we usually have a meeting on Monday night, and that's when she's usually available, she wasn't able to attend. But I assure you that going forward, there will be a general consensus across the board, and people will be notified. We will post things on the Upper Township website. We will do whatever we can to get the information out to everyone that is affected by it one way or another. And I anticipate, some, probably withdrawal of this one particular thing that I think a lot of individuals have concerns about.
When I wrote to you, I asked you, where did this concern come from? Because I don't think that it was a concern voiced by the community as a whole. And I'm just not sure that we should have a few people that have a pet peeve be able to get this far. And,
That's why, and I don't mean to interrupt, but that's why if we, and I would like to have input from individuals in Strathmere, and we'll try and do it since it's summertime and some of the folks are here and have some availability. It will be equally balanced on both sides to make sure that all voices are heard.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa Gifford, 905 Commonwealth. I'm just trying to understand who this committee is and where are they, and how do other people who live in Strathmere get on the committee or participate in the committee?
So I'm going to turn to Paul and say, how was the subcommittee put together?
The subcommittee was really put together by the planning board. Two of the members were obviously planning board members, and then the other members were just came to the planning board. One was from Riordan Real Estate, the other two, one was from Strathmere Improvement Association, and the other one was another resident that had made requests both here at the zoning board and township committee that had an interest. So that's how the five-member committee was put together.
So as a member, as someone who lives in Strathmere in the summer, how do I find out when they meet, and how do I get to these meetings?
Well, I think what's going to happen is, since now that we've withdrawn it, we're going to reassess how best to handle this. And once we figure out how best to get equal balance on both sides for a subcommittee. We will make sure that it's known to everyone on how if you'd like to participate. I mean, obviously, you can't have a subcommittee with 100 people because you're not going to get anything done. But I do think that we can fairly do a very good cross of the individuals that have opposition, that don't have opposition, and different concerns, and it will be more balanced. I can't stress that enough.
Well, that being said, Rich, I understand that, but it's a subcommittee of the planning board. It's not a subcommittee of the township committee, it's a planning board.
But I do think, and I don't
And it should be
disagree with
well-balanced.
that, but it needs to be balanced, and
Yes.
we need to be the oversight of that, okay?
Yes,
Mr. Young's on the planning board, I'm on the planning board,
yes.
and we will make sure that that is a balanced part of it.
It just felt very negligent that an ordinance of this magnitude, we hear about, seemed to be planned in the off-season, and we only just hear about it a few weeks. And that's disturbing, that's all.
I don't know if it was done that way, but the problem is we can't do everything in the summertime. And so when we do, and I'm not making excuses.
Right.
But it wasn't done purposely to avoid the summer residents of Strathmere.
But it feels like that.
Because there are other things in the ordinance that don't
Right.
affect Strathmere that are part of it as well.
Right.
So this is something that has been worked on throughout the year because it's not just Strathmere. We take of the whole, Upper Township.
Yeah.
And so I don't want you to think that it was done purposely. And fortunately, it was taken care of, or at least at this point, before it got too far down the line.
Okay, we just don't want it to happen again.
And anybody that's interested, obviously we have the emails that were sent to the clerk.
But you should put
We
a
can make sure
resume
that-
together and send it to the clerk or to Paul saying, I'm interested in being on something. Obviously, you can't have 100 people on it, but maybe if you could get together and put some folks from the large lot contingent to
What I was also saying was, we have the emails that were sent in. Once we have a draft ordinance that's getting ready to go to the planning board, we can email it out to
Yeah,
a
I think that's kind of spinning the wheels of the planning board, but it's up to the planning board how they want to do it, but I truly think if you're going to reconstitute the committee, it should have people on both sides of the fence.
Oh, well, but just to let everybody know, of the 5 members, 2 of the members are on large lots.
I understand, but they obviously, and look, here's the problem also. There was somebody on that committee from Riordan Real Estate, and we actually got a letter from the broker of record of Riordan Real Estate, Bruce Riordan, objecting to the ordinance. So the township's kind of in a weird situation here. They were looking for self-governance, and now...
That was a piece of resistance for me, like this is being pulled,
But what we need are people who have different opinions, not necessarily just have large lots.
I agree.
You will have a say, I promise. Yes.
That's okay. My name is Laurie Ettinger, 22 Seaview. Our home has been in the family for over 70 years. Mr. Dreeper, I'm sorry, I do not think that that is a good plan. I was shocked. It felt arbitrary. Mayor Plumbo, I understand that you all have a lot of work to do, and I appreciate you working so closely with us to protect our rights as homeowners and property owners. But having a small committee that we knew nothing about, and they're planning to go back and make new ideas, new revisions without surveying us, without hearing the negative impact it has on our properties. My husband and I work hard. We're barely holding on to our property in Strathmere. Now, and taxes are huge. And we do the best to be good citizens and stewards of that community and of Upper Township. So when this happened, we were shocked. It was arbitrary to us. And we had no voice. And yet it was going to have major impact on our property. So I am not comfortable with it going simply back to the same 5 people.
It's not. That's not.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I thought that's what he was just suggesting.
What will happen is, as far as, at least from my opinion, it would be all new members, not existing members, all new members, balanced on both sides.
Okay, well, I appreciate that
First 5 are done,
reassurance.
they had their turn.
And I'm not the chair of the planning board, so I'm speaking, Dan's probably, squirming over here. I'm saying it's not, I don't really have the authority over the planning board to say
Right.
that, but I assure you, we'll make sure that happens.
All right, well, I appreciate
And
your
keep in mind
time.
also that the process did work, because we always had subcommittees to come up with ideas, and it always has to come to the public for public hearing and reading on it prior to adoption. So the process is in place, that it goes subcommittee, planning board, which is an open meeting, and then to this, at an advertised open meeting for everybody to come in prior to the adoption. So the process may be elongated, but it does work.
I hope so. I was shocked. I had to drive from work today, take off a little bit early to get here in bad weather. This was the letter that Nancy and Eileen sent out was the first I heard that this was even under consideration. And I lived there all summer and through the fall. I know the people on this planning board, and no one bothered to speak to me. I'm Facebook friends with them. They have my cell phone numbers. They know where I live. And yet this was kept from me as if it were some kind of secret. So the process, I beg to differ. I think it broke down, and I think it was intentional. That is how it feels. So as a Strathmere resident who has been there a long time, this process did not work for our family and our part of the community.
Paul,
So
for the
thank
sake
you.
of transparency, could you let the people in the audience know when the planning board meets, and also where they can find the agenda for the planning board to give them the opportunity to attend any and all those meetings?
Sure. The planning board meets on the third Thursday of every month, and the agenda for each meeting is posted on the website, not under the calendar portion, but under the you go up to the boards, and under the boards it has the different agenda dates, and it has the agendas listed there, and it's typically posted the week before the meeting.
We may need more time than 1 week if we're coming from out of town, and it's not in the summer.
But this process will not happen tomorrow, so we'll have plenty of time to inform individuals where and when and how far this thing is progressing.
And I have to point out, you can't just operate in the summer. We have to address issues as they come up. You'll get notice if you're an immediately affected property owner, or you're going to have to monitor the township websites and the newspaper notices.
I mean, and especially at this point, for it to go back to a subcommittee, the previous subcommittee met probably over in 6 to 7 months period. If the process is started over again, it may work through the summertime, but you're not looking at an ordinance that'll probably, if we're going to go through the process that we did before, we probably won't see this ordinance back here until fall, winter time. So it's not something that's going to happen, and be reintroduced, if we go through.
That's why I suggested that the non-controversial portions that we have to get done will be reintroduced and adopted until the planning board can come back with the Strathmere appropriate recommendation.
Dan, question, just have to go through a subcommittee again?
No. It doesn't have to. It could go right to the planning board.
Could it be advertised ahead of time so that everybody knew there's going to be a public hearing at the planning board on such and such a date, and if they want to address it, they address it there?
Well, the agendas for the planning board.
Well, it has to be
state
put
that.
on. So I mean, if we said, all right, the August meeting, we'll put it on the public
I mean, can the
portion of it.
Yeah, can the planning board do that? Yes.
Yes.
In fact, they do that. That's what their agendas
I
are
mean,
published.
instead of doing to a full subcommittee again, if we have an open public hearing at the planning board meeting.
They could, but that's not always easy to get work done that way, because there's going to be
Again,
various
is it
opinions.
the one issue on lot coverage is the main issue, correct?
Well, I mean, the problem is, Hobie, for us to set the agenda or to tell the planning board how to run their meeting, we can't do that.
And say,
That's something you need to discuss at the planning board with your planner and your professionals.
Before you comment again, I want to see if anybody else wants to comment first, okay?
The planning board has to set that pace. That's up to them.
I got one. Joe Callahan, 31 East Tecumseh Avenue. thank you for postponing the ordinance.
We withdrew it. We didn't postpone it.
I
It's done
withdrew
right
it.
now.
No, I guess maybe a question or observation. I hear the word master plan, and I didn't attend the other planning board committee meetings. Maybe now it sounds like I might have to. Are you looking to redo the whole master plan on lots under 8,000 feet?
The master plan is for the whole town. So we've done that recently. We're not redoing the whole master plan. All this is recommendations that we thought were from a consensus of concerned residents and citizens of Strathmere and Whale Beach. We didn't know that there was this much opposition to those provisions until 3 weeks ago. Right? But the planning board will decide how they address the Strathmere Whale Beach. If they go through the same process, we've already heard the discussion, or they can take it up themselves and decide with their professionals what they want to recommend.
But even what the planning board ultimately comes to conclusion on, it still comes before us, before final adoption. It has to be done through ordinance. So, you know, I guess we're the watchdogs.
You adopt the legislation, they give you the recommendation.
So you'll have actually 2 public hearings.
Okay.
Here and also at the planning board.
So anything below, under 8,000 feet wasn't under consideration, just the larger lots?
No, there were changes to both.
Okay, so obviously we, as a group, need to pay attention when you come up for your new master plan, is what I'm
It's not a
hearing.
master plan. It's an ordinance. There's 2 different things. A master plan is a plan for the whole town, and it talks about different sections of the town. That's not what's being done here. This is an ordinance specifically that addresses standards for construction in Strathmere and Whale Beach.
Okay, so when you go back to do this and reconvene, you're only going to address the 8,000 part?
We're asking the planning board to look at it all, and if whatever the compromise or recommendations are, it may affect under and it may affect over. The anticipation is that it'll affect the ones that are over, not under. But there were changes for under too, as well.
But not tonight, we haven't heard that, so we're starting over.
Nobody objected between the public hearing and the notice to today about under 8,000 square feet that I know of.
That is true.
Well, we don't know about that, okay? Nobody's given that to us. There might be objections, but we haven't gotten in writing about the less than 8,000 square foot. I haven't seen anything.
The only objections that we have received are the provisions where the lot coverage was being reduced and the setbacks were being increased for lots over 8,000 square feet.
Well, we're not-
That was the only negative comment that.
We're not changing anything tonight because we kicked it back, so it doesn't really.
We're sending it back. And so they're going to look at it to make sure it makes sense and also to get the additional input that they clearly didn't have at the time they went through the other process.
Thank you.
Now,
You have the right to stop repetitive questions.
no, I would like to hear from everyone at least one time, so that we don't, not everyone, I mean, those that would like to present to the Township Committee. We have everyone, we'll be here till, 2 o'clock in the morning. But I'm not really looking for repetitive conversation either, so go ahead.
My name is Colleen Pond. I live in East Seaview Avenue. Thank you for getting in touch with me regarding the trash issue. It sounds to me like this whole thing is focused on the subcommittee of the planning board, the subcommittee for Strathmere. So I think the issue is just specifically the communication aspect of all of the Strathmere residents that just they weren't taken into consideration. So if there's any way that we could put into place somehow that whoever the subcommittee is, that they could make sure that just everybody is communicated with. And it's very simple to do, through email, through, I don't know, make a phone call. It's not hard.
That was the idea of the subcommittee,
But they didn't do it.
and it did break down.
Yes, so
that's
if
why
there's,
we are where
so
we are
as a
today.
committee, as a township member, as a township committee, if there's any way that you could put this kind of thing in place to say, if you're having these sort of subcommittees, you have to communicate with the individuals that actually have a dog in this fight, which frankly is our property. That's all I'm saying. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes. No, no.
That's it.
Ted Kingston, Strathmere. I'm one of the co-chairmen of the subcommittee, so I guess this is aimed at me. You know, our intentions were good here, and, you know, if there's legitimate objections, fine, I'm sure you're going to act on them. But, I mean, we've been coming before the boards for some 2 years now. I've testified before the zoning board. I've come down off the planning board and testified in front of the planning board. I've testified here at Township Committee. You know, there's concerns about the overbuilding in Strathmere. It goes back all the way to the last master plan. There was wording in the master plan that there's concern among the citizens of Strathmere about overdevelopment of the town. A lot of people feel that way. I guess the question to sort out here is, by all means, listen to legitimate concerns. But how much of this is legitimate concerns, and how much there was a letter campaign? You know, how much of this is everybody's all cranked up because of a letter campaign? You know, this was not a self-appointed committee. I'm on the planning board, Gary Riordan is on the planning board. After all the times we've testified, the planning board asked me and Gary to co-chair a subcommittee with people from Strathmere to look at the concerns of the overbuilding. You know, right up front, I wanted to make sure the planning board agreed to have the township planner involved. I didn't want to just go off willy-nilly. I wanted the planner. We had the township engineer involved. We invited real estate people. The real estate people brought an architect that builds a lot of the houses in town. We had the Improvement Association involved. 3 of the people on the committee are involved in the citizens group because they're looking at planning issues. You know, compared to other issues that have gone forward, other ordinances and all, we contacted more people than ever. I mean, I don't know who else we would have asked to get involved. We talked to everybody.
Hey, listen, we will stop, hold on everybody, we will stop this discussion if there's outbursts, okay? I ask that we be courteous to everyone to present their sides. Everybody had an opportunity to talk and no one said anything. I don't expect that to happen now.
You know, there was, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
This was a unique opportunity. You know, never before have we had 2 people from Strathmere on the planning board, at least not that I know of. We have 2 people from Strathmere on the planning board, 1 person from Strathmere on the zoning board. And for the planning board, you know, after all the complaints in front of the boards about the overbuilding, for the planning board, the chairman of the planning board stepped forward and appointed me and Gary as co-chairs. That's a unique opportunity to have a committee of people from Strathmere to look at the Strathmere problem. I mean, I don't know how much more inclusive you get. I don't think that's ever been done before. You know, they included a diverse group of people from Strathmere, from the real estate agent all the way to somebody that wants to go back to like 1980. We had a wide range of people. The idea that the committee was comprised of people from one slanted point of view is just not true. There was a whole range of people. And the discussions, we figured it was going to take a couple months. We went on, this has been going on since last summer, the committee meetings. And it wasn't like a power struggle in the meetings. I mean, it was a consensus. We had discussions. We would discuss for 2 hours. We would come back the next month and say, well, the problem with that idea is this. There wasn't any votes. We talked it out until everybody agreed. The fact that you're saying you get letters from somebody that was on the committee, it wasn't expressed in the committee. Nobody was overridden in the committee. I mean, I was very proud of the way the committee functioned. It was a consensus committee. not a 4-3 vote or anything. It was a consensus. You know, the fact that the Improvement Association was involved, the citizens group, you know, I don't know. I just don't know what else we should have done to include people.
Well, listen, I don't think anybody, at least I don't believe the committee is questioning the work that was done, but there's certainly some issues that came out of it, and, you know, we will have to reassess going forward how we're going to do it. And don't think for 1 minute, Ted, I know that the committee put a lot of time into it, and, you know, I can recognize that. And I'm not sure where the lack of communication took place and however it took place.
I don't know if it was a lack of communication or somebody stirring the pot that had an agenda.
You can say that, but when you have people's lot area and their properties being affected, I had concerns when I first saw it because of that. Before we even launched this, I said, I'm not comfortable taking somebody's land, and that's basically what this ordinance said. And I said that from the very beginning. And when I started getting, whether it's a letter campaign or whatever it is, these are all property owners. I've asked Barbara to validate it, okay? And so I listen to everybody. It's not one-sided. It's not, you know.
That's fair enough, but I mean, in the letter to come out, the idea that we targeted large property owners, as has already been said, I own a large property. You know, the co-chair owns a large property. There's only one person out of the 5 that was on the committee that has a small lot. Everybody else had a larger lot. And all sat in the meetings, and nobody said, well, hey, there's a problem here. And when you look at the size, I mean, everybody makes it sound like we're constricting these houses to be like next to nothing. When you look at the size that we're allowing on them lots, I mean, basically the way we came up with that number was took an average of previous homes that have been built, and that's the size. And when you, like, an example is my home. I could build a whole nother floor on my home and still be under the square footage allowed under the new ordinance. I mean, I've talked to some people here. It's like, look at your house. It's a big house on an 80 by 100 lot. It's under the size that we specified in the ordinance. Like, how big a house do you want? You know, and now it's being characterized like everybody in town, you know, is for whatever size you want. There's been a lot of concern for a lot of time now, and it seemed like the planning board kind of recognized things are getting out of hand. The things are too big. All we did was kind of take, in the end, we took averages of what has been built and assigned numbers to it. It's, you know, the idea that somehow there's going to be tiny houses now is just preposterous. So I just don't, if there's things wrong with this, fine, you do whatever you need to do. But I just don't think the way this has ended up being characterized as like, you know, we snuck out in the night, like self-appointed, and, you know, want to go back to 1980. That's just not the way this was. And, you know, so, I mean, I'm proud of the work we've done. I'll stand by the work we've done. If there's a problem with something, fine, that's what these hearings are for. And the whole idea that nobody knew, well, you knew to come out to the planning board meeting and object. So, like Hobie said, I think the process worked. You know, if you didn't know, you wouldn't have been at the planning board meeting to object. So, you know, I won't beat it to death, but I just, you know, we put a lot of work into it. And I think if you do a whole new committee, that's fine. You're still going to have to deal with the overbuilding issue in Strathmere. And it kind of comes down to everybody, like, yeah, we don't want anybody building big houses, but, you know, I'm allowed to build a big house. It's kind of like, you know, what's reasonable? And it's starting to get unreasonable what is going on there.
I'm Mike Ricketts. I'm a resident of 9 Williams Avenue, Strathmere. One thing, thank you, sir, for standing up and taking that. Did they factor into, if they're shrinking the lot size, did they factor in the taxes at all? In the cost and what that was going to do? I guess I'm asking the question to the subcommittee chair, but can we please make sure we factor that in as we go forward? Because that's a big issue for me.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Are you saying what the tax bill is on the lot?
Well, they want to reduce the lot without reducing the taxes.
No, if your value of your lot was, let's say 500, and now they changed the ordinance and it's 400, your tax bill should go down proportionately because it's based on the value of your land.
Today.
Yes, well, October 1 each year.
But doesn't that
You
reduce?
have a lot that's zoned in a way that last year it was worth more than it is this year. You appeal your taxes, or you go to the tax assessor and say, look how much less I'm worth now, and the tax assessor has to change your valuation. It's one of the reasons why the Township Committee likes properties that are worth a lot, because they get more taxes out of them.
Oh, you do get a lot of that. Thank you.
I'm Linda Bateman, 14 East Tecumseh. I'm the president of the Improvement Association. Just a couple of things. We've already been through this, but I couldn't hear all that was said. If you want to get the agenda for the planning board or the zoning board, all you have to do is email the township and they'll put you on the distribution list. It might take a time or two, but they do it. I get mine for the township meeting, planning board, and zoning board. I'm not going to beat a dead horse because I've spoken publicly about this, and as Ted mentioned, we have been talking about this for quite a while. We were approached at the August 2018 association meeting about joining the subcommittee. We asked for volunteers. It was in the minutes. It is on our website. We frequently post Facebook postings. We have almost 500 people on the mailing list, many of whom are in the audience tonight, and we frequently say there's an important planning board meeting, here's the ordinance. It's not our job to interpret or to endorse. Our mission is to communicate and to keep people in the loop. If you are not on the mailing list, we invite you to join. You don't have to be a member to be on the mailing list. As to property values, I'm not an assessor or an appraiser, but if you go back to the 2006 master plan, and if you think about why you bought in Strathmere, you bought for the low housing density. You bought for the single family homes. And if you look at this ordinance and take out the paragraph about the large lots, I don't hear a lot of objection to what's going to happen to every homeowner on a 40 by 100 foot lot, for example. And look at the one on the corner of Vincent and Commonwealth across from Mr. Riordan that received multiple variances and as a result has 4 stories and an enclosed rooftop structure. This ordinance will stop that, and it will put a burden on the small lot owner who will not therefore have that extra space. We'll go back to a true cupola of, I believe, 25 square feet. That affects everyone. That doesn't just affect large lot owners. We're certainly listening to your objections. I wasn't privy to receiving the letter because I'm on a 40 by 100 foot lot. I'd like to think that's the only reason I didn't receive the letter. But we certainly don't want to have something go forward that will affect and hurt property owners. And I would hope that we don't throw the baby out with the dishwater. That committee was listened to. That committee fought for the things that we have been asking for. And to just remove that paragraph, if you just remove that paragraph and look at the rest of the ordinance, what objections do you have? What objections have you heard? So I don't think that it's worthy of being scrapped at this point, and I don't like the feeling of neighbor against neighbor that has come as a result of this. The township held public hearings on the bulkhead, and the township could hold a public hearing on the ordinance. It chose not to, and it chose to have the public hearing tonight. Everyone came out. Everyone's been welcome to voice opinions. I'm glad you've received emails, and we certainly advocate for every property owner in Strathmere. I just remind you that when you sit on your decks and you look at those houses and you complain about how high they are and how they're ruining the skyline, they're blocking your light, they're blocking your breezes, and we are just paving over all of the vegetation that we have in town, we're talking about everyone. We're not just talking about large lot owners, and we have to get here together. I'm glad to hear all these different opinions, and I'm sure that the township will continue to work with the homeowners. This, as Ted said, was an unprecedented opportunity. And go back and check your emails, go back and look at the postings. We've done our best to try to communicate with people. The township communicated with the residents along the residential commercial district and all homeowners within 200 feet of them. I'm not sure if anyone has complained about the potential changes in the resort commercial district or not, but the township has communicated in that way. So thank you, and thank the committee, and thank everyone in Strathmere for passionately defending our property and our quality of life. Thanks.
Okay, I think that, you know, we kind of gotten, actually, I'm glad that we've gotten both sides to the, Ted, thank you for having, you know, the wherewithal to come up and explain at least the subcommittee part of it. So we will certainly try and do a better job of communicating what needs to be communicated to the residents. But I do happen to agree with Mr. Young that this is what we're supposed to do. If we hear opposition for things that we're trying to pass, you know, I don't want anyone to think that we think that we're sitting here on the Game of Thrones here, the Iron Throne, and we just dictate, because we don't. We do appreciate people telling us their thoughts, and your opinions mean a lot when we make decisions. So thank you for all that had input, and going forward, we'll find a better way to make sure that everyone is kept in the loop as we progress through this. And I assure you, if it gets to a winter time, things will be delayed to the summertime. I'm not sure my thing, and again, it's not my jurisdiction in the planning board, but we'll make sure that before anybody gets to any point, especially us, you know, people will be well informed before anything takes place. We don't need any clapping. I've never hit the gavel in 22 years. I don't plan to do it now. So thank you all. We'll move on to the new business.
The next item, item 17, that was a companion item to the ordinance. It's somewhat moot now because we would need another consistent report with any other ordinance. So I would just say table 17.
So you're saying to table 17?
Yeah, there's no need to.
Do you need a motion?
New motion?
Sure.
Motion to table?
Yeah, makes sense.
Guys, please take your conversations outside.
Give me the damn gavel, I'll get it.
Let's go.
Throw it up.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Colombo?
Yes. This is
Motion is carried with all in favor. Item number 18, moving along on the agenda. The Greater Tuckahoe Area Merchants Association requests to hold a raffle number 518 at Tuckahoe Beach on August 4th, 2019 at 12:30 p.m.
Motion approved?
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Colombo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 19, Knights of Columbus, number 9113, Monsignor James Ziggers Resurrection Council, request to hold 50/50 raffle, number 519 at the Tuckahoe Inn on December 14th, 2019.
December 14th.
Move the resolution.
Boy, are they
Or
planning.
2020.
Just for the record, I believe
This is,
at least 3 committee men are members. So.
And so is our legal counsel.
Yeah, so
That's what I was going to say next. So I'm just saying that by the rule of necessity, we've done this before, that's a,
That's why I made the motion, I'm not a man.
you can vote because otherwise I'm.
Did you second it? He seconded
No,
it.
but Ed, are you a member? Knights?
Yes.
Of the night,
So you got three and your solicitors, so.
No, yeah, that's true. John's a pass.
So, but under the rule of necessity, you can act because otherwise you won't be able to prove it.
Okay.
All right, so we can
Mr.
vote.
Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Number 20, Upper Township PTO request to hold a raffle number 520 at the Upper Township Middle School on June 17, 2019.
Motion to allow.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. 21, Historical Preservation Society of Upper Township request to use the Tuckahoe train station grounds for a Tuckahoe Transportation Heritage Festival on June 15th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 22, Global Premier Soccer, GPS and Neil Holloway request use of Amanda's Field and Tyler Davis Field to hold a soccer tournament on June 29th and 30th, 2019.
They put all their paperwork in. and
Yes, we
Approvals.
all the updated insurance and everything's necessary.
Roy, the fields are in good enough shape to take the 3 days of the tournament?
Public Works has confirmed that that the fields will be ready for the tournament as well. They've confirmed that in writing.
Okay.
In your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 23, Tuckahoe Fire Company request for the installation of warning lights for emergency vehicles on Route 50 in Tuckahoe.
I guess our pedestrian traffic spurred this one.
Yeah, they saw that, they
But
recommend.
this makes sense because I
Yes.
know Marmora has one that runs off of solar.
Marmora has one that's on a county road.
So there should be a request in that. Are they going to need a resolution for that?
I just would, they did not have the township support previously, but the fire company has discussed this with the DOT, and the DOT had previously told them that the traffic conditions on the state highway didn't warrant their advance warning sign.
Well, I can tell you what happened.
How long ago was that?
But what happens?
It was
I
during
wish once in
the,
a while they'd come down and visit our area.
it was during the design and the construction of the.
What happens now when there's a
It's been
fire?
fairly recent.
When there's a fire now, when the fire siren goes off, one of the senior citizens who lives pretty close to the firehouse actually stands out in the middle of traffic and
Blocks
stops
traffic.
traffic.
Yeah.
This is a lot safer than that. So, I would like to make a motion, we put this on our agenda to make a resolution in support of this and fire it up to the state.
I'll second that motion.
And CC all of our elected officials and state legislators and
It's ridiculous.
and send it to the governor too.
Mr. Barr?
Tell them if not, we're going to put
Yes.
rumble strips.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Would someone like to make a motion to pay the bills?
I hereby move that all claims submitted for payment at this meeting be approved and then incorporated into the full minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So we have two reports from our municipal departments, Department of Public Works and the tax assessor. Those reports will be available upon request tomorrow at the Township Clerk's office, but I'll make a motion to accept the reports.
Second.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plumbo?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
So now we've come to the time to open up our normal public comment portion. If anybody would like to address the Township Committee, now's the time to do so. And I suppose you're also welcome to chime in with anything else with respect to, the ordinance.
We've already heard the ordinance, so we're done with that. I heard enough of that.
Hi, I'm Ralph Cooper, 6 Gladwin Drive. Two things. I wanted to thank you for approving the support of the medical drop box in Marmora. We've worked on this with the Green Team for quite a few years. Having the one in Woodbine has been important, but this will be even better for the township itself. So I want to thank you for that. Also,
As a pharmacist, it means a lot to me.
yes, I know. That's one of many things that the Green Team has been trying to support. And I come to you each year because we're going to be applying for recertification for the Sustainable Jersey program. The deadline coming up is June the 2nd. We have enough actions right now to qualify again for the bronze level. We have quite a few actions that the township can, I think, help with to get to the silver level. And there's a sequence you go through this fall where we can have another review and put in more documentation. So I hope we can do that. We have quite a few things that are very positive in the township. A lot of things that we were approved with last year are now being used as best practices by other communities. And I think the fact that we have things in the township, maybe people don't know about all of them, but showing a spotlight on them through these Sustainable Jersey actions can be very helpful, not only for the community, but also it helps the whole image and brand of Upper Township, because having that sustainability rating in the silver level is one of the very few in the state. There are currently 440 communities in New Jersey that are in Sustainable Jersey. This is the 10th year the program has been in effect. Upper Township was signed on at the very beginning, and I think it's a really good program. So I look forward to working with the township staff and with you, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them down the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph.
Anyone else?
To say my name again.
Yes.
Linda Bateman, 14 East Tecumseh, Strathmere, President of the Improvement Association. I had a follow-up question to the raking of the beach, because over the weekend it looked to me like we had a lot of new vegetation and that it's holding, and now you want to rake it. I'm not sure where.
Not the vegetation. We're going to rake around it. We realize there's some new created dunes and some vegetation
Wildlife,
and stuff. We're not
birds.
looking to do that. But what I am looking to do is prevent kids and even adults or anyone that's walking down to the beach to step on something that could potentially puncture their foot and those kind of things. There's a lot of debris. I mean, I shouldn't
So it
tell
wasn't
people what
done-
beach I go to, but
Right.
I don't think it's any secret that I'm at Vincent Avenue many times throughout the summer. And I was there twice over the weekend, and there was a substantial amount of, and I don't know if it's driftwood or whatever it is, it needs to be picked up.
Well, you should have seen it today after everybody left.
I was there today. We took a ride on we were there today.
Quite a lot of trash. So I think we reached critical mass over the weekend. I have never seen a Memorial Day as crowded as this one. It was wall-to-wall people. The parking was insane. By I don't know, 10 or 10:30, I had phone calls. One woman counted 9 dogs on the beach by Taylor Avenue. A surf fisherman had a dog come up and defecate right next to him. He said to the owner, "Hey, you're going to clean that up?" "Oh, I can't. It's in the water. It'll wash away." At the end of the day, yesterday, a couple was walking off the beach with their dog on a leash, and I said to them, "You know, we've got nesting birds. It's a protected area. You know, dogs aren't allowed on the beach, yada, yada, yada." And they looked at me and said, "Service dog?" No, not a service dog. And the person who called about the 9 dogs said that she mentioned it to the lifeguards and was given the answer that it's not our job. Whose job is it? I'm not talking about before or after.
I assure you, the lifeguards, if they come in contact, they will talk to them, but it's not their job to police that.
I understand that. Whose job is it?
But they can call animal control.
And they have, but it's not their job to say, get off the beach. They're not law enforcement individuals.
So a person approached the guards, said, "Look at all these dogs on the beach. I've never seen it like this," and they are told it's not my job. What is
Well,
it?
It's not their job.
Rest assured, our clerk will touch base with our animal control, and animal control will make a presence on the beach.
The lifeguards do not have the ability to offer
I
any
understand that.
citation.
And they won't just make a presence, they will not.
Well, then
issue-
take down the signs. I mean, we
They're
have,
in the animal control is not going to be there to issue warnings, they will be there to issue summonses.
so when a person sees a dog on the beach during guarded hours, what should that person do?
Animal control,
That person is supposed to call animal control.
yes. Animal control will be present on the beach this weekend.
Have we thought about any patrols during town? There were numerous bonfires. The wind was carrying, we had to close our windows, I could see them up and down the beach. The state police won't come for a bonfire.
I believe the proper
There was-
response for a fire is the fire department, not the state police.
The fire department won't come for a bonfire. We have people burning trash and the fire department won't come. We're told not to call.
Well.
And we have, I could see flames in a house behind us. I could see flames
I
coming
can tell you,
up.
I'm in charge of the first responders, and you see flames, you tell them,
I
911 and
will
ask for fire.
tell you that today when we did our beach tour, there was a number of burnt wood
The
on
correct,
the beach.
correct response is to call 911, Ocean City Dispatch, and report a fire.
And we also are seeing, people enjoy their fire pits, which is great. I could see when, I really thought on the other side, behind Elizabeth Burgess's lot, I thought the house was on fire. The flames were so high, reflecting in their windows. I don't want to cut down on people having fun, but you have to close your windows because of the smoke or to worry about the danger of the fires. And it's just the start of the season. We had a couple of guys jump the fence and into the dunes, urinating in front of another person's house. This is just on my block, my quiet block. And a couple of girls running down the street with one of those giant wine bottles, giggling, laughing, dropping the F-bomb. It's just like the Wild West. It was just an incredibly busy weekend. And it's depressing to think that it's just May. And I'm one who's always advocated for the beach belongs to everybody, but I thought, oh my gosh, I'm getting like everybody else. Is it over yet? Is it Tuesday? And then, of course, the trash issue and the trash that was left behind. Several people have commented about how much trash they picked up. We routinely carry bags with us when we walk, and I know that we have somebody who does pick up trash. And yeah, we're not Virginia Beach, but that was also a big event that they had on the beach, from what I understand. But we really...
It wasn't meant as a comparison. It was
I know.
meant that it was a very busy
horrendous.
weekend. And I guess Memorial Day, unfortunately, first of all, it was
beautiful
the best weather that we've had in
Absolutely.
probably 20 years.
Absolutely.
And it was well anticipated. For whatever reason, they said that up and down the entire Jersey coast, it was the busiest weekend since 2005. So
I couldn't
it was just one of
get into my
those-
driveway or get out of my driveway.
It was, I guess if there's a perfect storm, this weekend was it.
Right.
But I think typically, or at least that, from my experiences, Memorial Day is more transient people than what you would normally see in normal, summer visitation. So we will continue to police and we will do what we can to keep the beach clean. And the raking part of it is more from a safety to prevent people from, injuring themselves more than anything. We're not looking to even pick up all the shells that are there. It's just the reeds that have come up and also the sticks and logs and, things that are all over the place from the wintertime.
And will that be all of the beach? Where are you going to leave some areas?
We can only do from, they said we can do from
The front, I'll say the ocean 50%.
We're not touching the dunes, we're not going anywhere near.
From Williams or above Williams? Or?
It's going to depend on my conversation with the DEP on what we can do.
Oh, it hasn't been decided?
No, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife signed off on it today. Now we have step 2.
Okay. And one other thing about the parking, lots of times, I can't believe how badly people park, but lots of times I'll be out front and they'll be backing into a space and I'll motion, like, pull up, and I'll say to them, that's another space you're taking up, and they say, oh, I've got to be able to unload my car. Because we have hatches, and I thought, why am I caring about how many more cars can fit on my beach? But if you look at people's parking patterns, it's really incredible.
Well, I mean, and I'm not going to start a controversy
No.
here, but there's a lot of people with the property owners that are parking, like, where there's one car there. So, I mean, we have to be cooperative with everyone.
Well, when somebody's hanging over my driveway and I ask
I
them
don't
to
have an
move,
argument with you there.
I would expect that.
There was
to
a
happen.
number of parking spots this weekend where there was one car that could easily have had 2 parking
Exactly.
spaces right in the middle so that you couldn't park on either side of the road. Okay?
Exactly. And I think there's a disconnect, someone said it, there's a disconnect between beachgoers and the environment. And we have to keep reminding ourselves how special we are, how people don't get to do this if they're living in Oklahoma, that this is such a thing that we have to prize and fight for. And that's something that we have to be able to get to trickle down to people, so that it is for everybody and it is enjoyable for everybody. Thank you. It's been a long night, I'm sure.
Yes. You still have to do what everybody else does.
Larry Truly, 430 South Shore Road. I had some questions and a couple comments about the exit 20 interchange. Due to the extended meeting tonight, I'll come back in 2 weeks and ask, okay?
You had to get up and say that. Okay. Anybody else? All right, so thank you for your comments. I'm going to close the public portion and turn to Mr. Coggins to entertain a motion to go into executive session.
I hereby move that a resolution be incorporated into the minutes authorizing the Township Committee to enter into an executive session for the following matters pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act. The matters are contract negotiation for Swazon Communications Group, also Block 348, Lot 55, and personnel. I also include in my motion the estimated time and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public as follows. It is anticipated that the matters discussed in closed session may be disclosed to the public upon the determination of the Township Committee that the public interest will no longer be served by such confidentiality. With respect to employment and personnel matters, such discussions will be made public if and when formal action is taken or when the individuals involved consent that it can be made public. With respect to contract negotiations, such matters will be made public when negotiations have ceased and there is no longer a reason for confidentiality.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Corson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Plummer?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
I would ask everybody to please drive safely home. It sounds like the weather's not too cooperative out there. Thunderstorms, rain. Be careful driving home.